Stop whatever you are doing, put down your coffee, and pull up a chair, because the tea I am about to spill today is hotter than the Miami hard courts in July. Welcome back to Courtside Classic, the only place on the internet where we serve you the absolute juiciest, most jaw-dropping stories from the tennis world before they even hit the mainstream press. It's your girl Mira, and I am telling you right now, you are going to need some tissues for this one. We cover a lot of wild drama on this channel, from locker room feuds to shocking upsets, but today's story is straight out of a Hollywood movie. It is a cinematic, edge-of-your-seat saga that is unfolding in real time, and it involves one of the most powerful men on the planet, a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines, and a completely secret, handwritten letter that has literally changed the history of women's sports. If you thought the battles at the 2026 Miami Open were intense, you have absolutely no idea what has been going on behind the velvet curtain. The whispers have been circulating in the players' lounge for days. Social media has been in an absolute frenzy, trying to decode the rumors. Well, the confirmation has officially landed, and it carries the weight and drama of a Wimbledon championship point. The rumors are true, my friends. Bernard Arnault, the chairman and CEO of LVMH, the mastermind behind the largest luxury empire ever built, the man who controls Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Moet, has made a deeply personal, incredibly emotional vow to support Filipino tennis sensation Alex Eala. And he is doing it in a way the sport of tennis has never, ever witnessed before. This is not your standard corporate sponsorship deal. This isn't a routine handshake in a sterile, glass-walled boardroom where executives slap a logo on a player's sleeve and demand a return on investment. This is a complete, all-encompassing financial patronage. We are talking about covering every single aspect of her professional journey: flights, luxury hotels, elite coaching staffs, state-of-the-art recovery specialists, nutritionists, and every hidden operational cost along the grueling WTA tour. And the craziest part? The catalyst behind this monumental, unprecedented act of generosity wasn't a slick marketing pitch from an agency in New York. It was a simple, handwritten letter. A letter so raw, so honest, and so deeply personal that it reportedly moved one of the wealthiest, most stoic men in the world to literal tears. Before we get into the contents of this letter that broke a billionaire's heart, we have to talk about what Alex Eala was doing on the court, because she was already making massive headlines long before this backstage drama came to light. She arrived at the Miami Open this year carrying the momentum of a truly remarkable season. She wasn't just some unknown underdog hoping for a lucky draw. She was a player who had repeatedly proven she belonged among the absolute elite. Her first major test in Miami was against the seasoned German veteran Laura Siegemund. If you know tennis, you know Siegemund is tricky, relentless, and thrives on frustrating her opponents. What followed was a grueling, agonizing three-set battle. It was the kind of match that defines a young player's career, the kind where your legs feel like lead, the momentum slips, the crowd gets quiet, and it all comes down to pure, unfiltered belief. Alex dug deeper than anyone thought possible. She clawed her way back, unleashing this raw, emotional intensity that is quickly becoming her trademark. When she finally walked off that court victorious, the entire nation of the Philippines erupted, and the tennis establishment was forced to pay attention. Then came Magda Linette, which presented a totally different kind of nightmare. Where Siegemund tested her physical resilience, Linette tested her tennis IQ. Linette is full of variety, subtlety, and quiet danger, but Alex responded with a performance that pundits are calling absolutely surgical. She was precise, composed, and absolutely ruthless when it mattered the most. She navigated the match with a level of control that makes you forget she is only 20 years old. She proved that she isn't just a rising star anymore. She has firmly arrived. Now, yes, her run in Miami eventually ended in the round of 16 against Karolina Muchova. Muchova is a former Grand Slam finalist and arguably one of the most technically gifted players on the tour, so losing to her is absolutely not a failure. It was just a marker, a valuable data point showing exactly where Alex is at. It was the way Alex played, her hunger, her laser focus, her emotional investment in every single point, that signaled she was on the verge of something mythological. And someone very important was paying attention. Bernard Arnault wasn't just watching the scores, he was watching the story. Arnault is a man who built a trillion-dollar empire on the pursuit of true excellence. Not the cheap manufactured kind, but the kind of excellence born from obsessive passion, relentless discipline, and uncompromising standards. LVMH brands are built on the idea that products are expressions of craft and care, and Arnault saw that exact same philosophy echoing in Alex Eala's journey. But it wasn't just her forehand that caught his eye. It was her vulnerability. In her most difficult moments, Alex had spoken openly about what excellence meant to her. She talked about using the lonely, brutal training sessions as fuel. She talked about the empty courts and the quiet hours when absolutely no one is watching, clapping, or cheering. Now, let me insert my own personal opinion here for a second, because this is where the story gets me choked up. Professional tennis is one of the most classist, brutally expensive sports on the face of the earth. If you are a player from the United States, France, or Great Britain, you usually have a massive, wealthy national federation backing you. They pay for your coaches, your flights, your physios, your wildcards, but if you are an independent player from the Philippines, you are on your own. You are fighting a war with a plastic spoon. The financial anxiety of knowing that if you lose in the first round, you might not be able to afford your hotel room next week is a weight that top-ranked privileged players simply cannot comprehend. This brings us to the letter. Alex Eala sat down and poured her entire soul onto paper. She didn't write to Bernard Arnault asking for a handout. She didn't send a list of demands or a corporate proposal outlining how her face could sell more Dior bags in Asia. She simply wrote to thank him. She thanked him for building an empire based on a standard of excellence that inspired her during her darkest, most exhausting days. She opened up about the harsh realities of being an independent player from Southeast Asia. She wrote about the modest budget accommodations, the agonizing financial math her family had to do every single month, and the suffocating pressure of carrying the hopes of 115 million Filipinos who are desperately waiting for their first top 10 women's tennis player. She reflected on the silence of her early years, the unseen grind, and the promise she made to her parents, especially her mother, a former SEA Games swimming medalist, that she would never, ever quit. She told him that tennis was her purest form of self-expression, a way to show every young girl in the Philippines that the biggest stages in the world could belong to them too. According to sources very close to the Arnault family, the moment Bernard finished reading that letter, the atmosphere in the room completely shifted. There was a long, incredibly heavy silence. And then the tears fell. We are not talking about performative, PR-approved tears for a camera. We are talking about the private, unguarded emotion of a man who is used to hearing thousands of pitches a day from people who just want his money. He was caught completely off guard. In a world full of transactional relationships, this 20-year-old girl had reminded him of why excellence actually matters, and why those with immense resources have a moral obligation to uplift raw, beautiful talent instead of just exploiting it. The decision was immediate. It wasn't passed down through layers of marketing executives or legal teams. It came straight from the heart. Arnault decided right then and there to fund her entire career. Do you guys understand how staggering the implications of this are? At the elite level of the WTA Tour, the gap between a good coach and a world-class coach is the difference between losing in the second round and winning a Grand Slam. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to pay for a top-tier traveling coach, a dedicated physiotherapist, a sports psychologist, and a hitting partner. It means flying business class so your legs aren't swollen before a major tournament. It means staying in hotels where you can actually sleep, eating food perfectly optimized for your recovery, and never having to look at your bank account before booking a flight to the next tournament. With the financial limitations entirely removed, Alex Eala has effectively been given wings. She no longer has to make difficult compromises like skipping a crucial warm-up event because it's too expensive, or playing through a nagging injury just to collect a first-round paycheck. The psychological shift this creates is monumental. Sports psychology tells us that when an athlete steps onto the court free from financial anxiety, their performance skyrockets. They swing freer, they take bolder risks, they stop playing not to lose, and they start playing to win. Alex is now armed with the kind of support system that players like Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff have enjoyed for years. This move by Bernard Arnault is also forcing a massive, uncomfortable conversation about the structure of tennis itself. For decades, the sport has quietly operated within a highly unequal system where your geographical and financial background dictates your success just as much as your talent. How many incredible generational talents from developing nations have we lost simply because they ran out of money? Alex Eala's story shines a glaring spotlight on these inequalities. But it also offers a glimmer of hope. Is this the beginning of a new model of athletic patronage? Imagine if the world's billionaires stopped buying mega yachts and started adopting the careers of underfunded generational talents. If this mindset spreads, the ripple effects across global sports would be revolutionary. As we look ahead to the rest of the 2026 season, the excitement is completely off the charts. The European clay court swing is right around the corner. We are heading straight toward the French Open at Roland Garros, which poetically enough is right in Bernard Arnault's backyard in Paris. Then it's on to the pristine grass of Wimbledon and the electric hard courts of the US Open in New York. Every single time Alex Eala steps onto the court now, she isn't just fighting for survival, she is competing to dominate. Expectations have skyrocketed, but for the first time in her life, she has the armor to carry that weight comfortably. Conversations among experts and former players about her cracking the top 10 are no longer wishful thinking. They are grounded in mathematical probability. She has the talent, she has the drive, and now she has the ultimate war chest. But at the end of the day, there is one thing I want us all to remember about this story: courage. It takes an unbelievable amount of courage to write a letter like that. In a modern sports culture where athletes are trained by PR teams to project flawless confidence and hide all their weaknesses, Alex chose vulnerability. She let one of the most intimidating men on earth see her struggle. She showed him the unpolished, exhausting reality of her life. She worked tirelessly, carried immense responsibility, and did it all with grace, love, and a total refusal to give up. That courage is way more impressive to me than the billionaire's money. Alex Eala sat down in a quiet room, wrote the absolute truth, and that truth was so powerful it tilted the axis of the tennis world. This is exactly why we watch sports. We don't tune in just for the backhands and the statistics. We tune in for the human spirit. We stay up until 3 a.m. watching grainy streams from the other side of the world because we want to see someone overcome impossible odds. The Alex Eala era isn't coming anymore, guys. It is officially here. It arrived with a handwritten letter, a billionaire's tears, and a girl from Manila who proved that when you speak from the heart, the whole world listens. Now, I am turning it over to you, my amazing Courtside Classic family. I know your minds are spinning right now. Do you think Bernard Arnault's backing is the final piece of the puzzle that will launch Alex into the top 10 by the end of the year? Which Grand Slam do you think will be her ultimate breakthrough? Roland Garros, Wimbledon, or the US Open? Let me know your honest thoughts down in the comments because, I read every single one of them. If this story gave you goosebumps the way it did for me, please do me a huge favor and smash that like button with everything you've got. It helps the channel out so much and lets YouTube know that we are here to celebrate the real emotional stories in tennis. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update on Alex's incredible journey. We have so much more coming: deep dives, match breakdowns, and exclusive coverage of how this new chapter is shaking up the WTA. Keep your rackets ready and your hearts open. I'm Mira, this is Courtside Classic, and I will see you in the next one.